Welcome to Bell Wine Cellars. I'm Jane, and this is episode 2 of our podcast, What I Love About Bell with Hillary Cole. Hillary, you're back from Europe. Welcome back and to this beautiful weather.
Yeah. What a treat, right? Like, what a gift. 2.5 weeks in Europe. In France. Started in a week in Paris, then a week in Champagne, and then another half week in Paris. So it was definitely winter there. I was there for most of January. So coming back to this, I'm not mad.
It feels good.
Yeah,
a little vitamin D.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I got even more pale than I usually am.
Well, tell us about your travels.
It was extraordinary. France is where I really feel, I think, most at home, more than anywhere else in the world. I'm in a pretty nice runner-up here, being in Napa in California. But I just really love France. It's where I feel at home. Got to spend a full week in Paris. Usually when I've been to Paris, it's been for like 2 or 3 nights at a time. This time I spent a full week in my favorite neighborhood. It's Le Marais. And the 3rd and 4th, it kind of straddles the 3rd and 4th. And it's a part of Paris that to me is like, it's the real Paris. You can still get around if you don't speak French. Luckily, I do speak French. So you can still get around, but it's much harder to get around if you don't speak the language. And it's just like, it's the real Paris. It's what it's like going to New York and spending time, like in Alphabet City or the Union Square area, like it's the real New York. So that's where I was in Paris, like that version of it. So started out a week there, just everything that you need, everything you love. Actually I did a baguette making class, which was different for me because those who know me well know that I can't even make toast. I am not a talented, I'm the opposite of a talented chef. There's literally a smoke ring in the ceiling of my kitchen I was trying to do something, I was trying to saute garlic, and I did something wrong where, this flame went up and hit the ceiling. So that's what kind of chef I am. So for me to do a baguette class was kind of like bizarre, but I did, and it turned out very well.
And it was good?
Yeah, it was great. And then I also did a perfume blending class, which was super, super cool. Found out that there's a lot of bridge and a lot of crossover between like creating a custom blended perfume or creating any perfume. Just like there's a lot of crossover between creating perfume and creating wine. Not as far as fermentation goes, but with the blending and the processes with the blending. It was really cool to see that crossover and then make my own perfume and kind of getting to use what I do as a sommelier and what I do in the wine industry to help with that process. It was super cool. So after that first week in Paris, I went to my very favorite region. I went to Champagne. I love the Champagne region. There's such a spirit there that it grabs me. I think it's unfortunate that a lot of times people think of Champagne as being about the prestige and luxury and everything, because what Champagne really is soul. It is all soul. And same thing with Paris. Usually when I've been in Champagne, it's been for like 2 or 3 nights. And so getting to spend an entire week there was really special. I got to really understand the geography better. And I went to a part of Champagne I hadn't been to before. There's a place in the southern part of the region. Champagne's huge. It's like 84,000 acres, right? Massive region. So I got to go to the southern part. It's called the Aube, in the Côte d'Ivoire this time. And I hadn't been around that area at all yet. So exploring that area was really special. I went to the big city that's down there is called Troyes. And it's one of the most well-preserved medieval cities in all of Europe. And so when I say well-preserved medieval city, like if you go to my Instagram and look at some of the photos, it's crazy. It's just insane to me that these buildings are still standing. You could tell that they're medieval. Like you can see the horse-drawn carriages going around. Like you can see these things happening. You can see the bubonic plague. Like you can see all this in your mind's eye. Spent a week there, and then headed back to Paris, and this time stayed right by the Eiffel Tower, which is a beautiful neighborhood. It's in the 7th, absolutely gorgeous neighborhood. It's not my favorite though, just because it's the very I don't want to use the word sterile, but I don't know what else to say. It's a very sterile part of Paris in terms of like a lot of American business is done there. So like you don't need to speak a lick of French to be there. You know, like everybody, the French lead was speaking English. And it's very, very expensive too. But the apartment that I had there, like you have to treat yourself
the
to
view
that
looked
view once.
pretty cool.
Yeah, the view is unbeatable. So going out to the balcony, and I mean the Eiffel Tower is 50 meters from the apartment. So
amazing.
You got to treat yourself to that once.
Yes.
So that was really nice.
And we noticed you brought your bell.
I did. Yeah, I took some Bell wine with me because, I absolutely adore French wine. I wanted to share some Bell while I was there, right? I always make new friends when I'm in Europe. So I knew I'd be running across people that I'd want to share Bell with. So I took some with me. And actually the atelier at the perfumery, before he went into the perfume business, he actually had a career in Champagne. So I shared a bottle with him, and he really enjoyed it. And then when I was in Champagne, obviously I was doing some tasting at different houses, and it was so cool to, the Champenois are so hospitable, and they're so inviting and so warm, and they're so excited to share their wines with you. So to see the reception and how open they were with me sharing our wine with them, like they were all, you could tell like this doesn't happen very often. They were also so appreciative. And the ones who the Champenois who I gave bottles to, who work at some of the houses there, those who have already opened the Bell bottles that I brought for them, have sent me emails like just so happy and so impressed with the wine. So that meant a lot to me, like to bring Bell's wines to France, and
that's a testament right there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100% to get that reception was really cool.
Wonderful. Well, what a great start to the year, especially for you personally traveling, but also for Bell Wine.
Yeah.
How did you feel that last year went for the winery and goals for this year?
I think last year for the winery, like we outperformed what we expected to, which is very lucky. But it's hard, like right now is so hard to forecast and try to and figure out how things are going to go. There's so much volatility with what's going on with the pandemic, and I think everybody's having a hard time gauging economically how things are going to go, and there's a lot of heft and a lot of seriousness in the world right now. So it's hard to figure out or to know if things are going to be successful or not. So I'm very happy. You're right. Like personally and professionally, 2022 has started off very well, and in 2021 ended great. We're really appreciative of all of our guests and our consumers who enjoy the wine and who are so loyal and so passionate about sharing the wine with people in their lives. And that's really the only thing that matters. You can have a great wine, but if you're not building the relationships with the people who enjoy it, there's no point in having the great wine. And wine is meant to be shared, and we're very lucky to have a wonderful base of members and guests who love to share it. So they really helped with our success last year, and it's looking good so far this year. Coming back from France, we had done we'd reached back into our cellar, kind of to honor a decade ago. There was promise coming into 2022, and we really wanted to kind of harness that. So we decided to harness it by giving a nod and kind of honoring the vintage of a decade ago, right? The throwback decade. So we released some 2012 Reserve Cabernet in a 2-pack wooden box set that sold out in hours. So that was really good to see. Like I'm happy to see that people are going to be kind of starting 2022 also with that.
Yes, a great throwback. Is that something you drink right away? You save, or
you could do either.
Yeah.
It's drinking beautifully now. But if you have the willpower to hang on to some, like drink a bottle now and then hang on to
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The point of the two.
Exactly. 2012 was just such a beautiful, almost textbook vintage that It felt right to go into 2022 with, the hopes and the promise that we're hoping that we're moving forward. And so to reach back to a textbook beautiful vintage that 2012 was, I just felt like that would be a good omen for 2022.
Yes.
And the fact that it sold out, hopefully that's
Sounds like it is.
yes.
Excellent. And then any goals for the year? What else, like your current tasting flight?
Yeah. Oh God, every day is a new goal. Every day is a goal.
Yes.
No, so with the current tasting flight, 2018 was the dominant vintage on the current tasting flight. But we just put the 2018 Clone 6, which was the last wine on the flight. We just pulled that from the flight and replaced it with the 2017. We decided to go back a vintage because the 2017 is drinking so beautifully right now. And the 2018 is also very wonderful. 2018, like I was saying last time, 2018 is a very, very powerful vintage. So decided we released it. Let's give it some more time to just, chill out and take a nap for a minute and go back to the 2017 for a minute. So that's on the flight right now. The construction permits were done. Those are all approved. I'm so excited. And luckily, the equipment for the remodel is starting to show up. We've got quite a bit of the equipment here to get the remodel started. Now we just need the crew. To get here and do it. So it's good to see that progress for the remodel that's going to be coming up. We have to break ground by June, so it's going to be any time now. That'll be getting started. So I'm so excited for that. I think that's a major push. And even with since the last time you were here, the barrel room has changed so much, and that's basically John and his crew kind of getting barrels moved around and everything to make room for that construction to start, and moving the chillers from one side to the other so that construction can start. So we're taking the steps.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
And that really is going to take place in the whole exterior or interior, various tasting rooms, right?
Yes. Yeah. The interior is going to be basically completely gutted and rebuilt. So, whereas right now there's only the one private tasting room, now there's going to be a conference room. The offices for the ambassadors will still be upstairs, but in a different orientation. And then there will be 3 private tasting rooms instead of just the one. And the way it will be configured, 2 of the private tasting rooms will be able to be merged for larger groups. Because we have a really robust event permit, which a lot of wineries in Napa don't. And so for us to be able to really take advantage of that, we decided to take 2 of the private tasting rooms and have it be to where, that wall can open up and be turned into one large one.
Nice.
When needed. So,
makes sense.
Yeah.
Get a big party in there.
You will love that. Yeah. So, it's exciting to see that happening. And basically, just the annual, never-ending goal of make the best wine you can at all times. John and I and the rest of our team, we really we finished up with deciding which of the wines to kind of let drop off to really focus on our clone program and some other bottlings, and just really drive that focus. And so those steps are in place. We're in the process of rebranding Scoundrel. And actually, while I was in France, we took the final couple of Zoom calls on finalizing the new labels. There's a new label coming out for Scoundrel.
Exciting.
Oh, I'm so excited for it. And I love the label too. It's exactly what I was hoping it would be. It was such a fun process with the team also, to get that creative process going and working with that marketing firm. What a cool project. So Scoundrel's getting a facelift and
awesome.
And a rebrand, and we're just rolling.
Good. Also, something we talked about on our last podcast were private in-home tastings. And since then, we actually I had you over and we did one, and it was just so much fun and so educational. It was a rainy winter day and we just hunkered down inside and it was so enjoyable. So maybe a little bit about your goals for that program this year.
Yeah. I would like to see that program really succeed, because I really enjoy getting out and seeing our members in their element, And again, the whole spirit of that program is us understanding that it's hard to get out here to come tasting sometimes, and a major perk of club membership, right, is being able to come out and try the new releases and come to the winery and everything, and have those tastings be complimentary. But if you don't live locally, or if you're on the other side of the country or whatever, like that's hard to do, and we don't want our members missing out on that. And so, I'd be perfectly happy, like being out, out and about on a very regular basis. So I'm hoping that program and our members, um, continue to take advantage of that. Just it's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it's so neat to, you bringing you in to teach and drinking wonderful wine, bringing Napa Valley to your home.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was so nice. I just stayed home and said goodbye.
Yeah, and it's so cool because it can be as simple as no food, nothing to pair it with,
Right.
or just a cheese and charcuterie, or I've had members who have hired Michelin chefs to come in and cook for their 20 guests, like in their gourmet kitchens, and have it be a coursed dinner that was paired with the flight. Each course was paired with a different wine on the tasting flight. So it's really fun to also see where our members imagine that
Yes.
event going and that tasting going. And they're all fun. Like, no matter if it's the very simple one that's literally just like we're sitting here but in your house,
Yep.
or if it's the really extravagant, they're all fun, and it's so fun to see the members' creativity,
Yes.
and what they want to do. And one of the things that we've seen with kind of realigning our production, and what we're focusing on production wise, it brought back into focus how small our production is, and our membership has been growing, and which is lovely. But the membership is growing, and our production is very small for some of the bottlings, and so we have a number of wines. For instance, our Sauvignon Blanc, the 2020 Sauvignon Blanc, it is already sold out to the public. There is literally only enough to satisfy our club membership, and so when that releases the 2021, when that releases in May, there's only enough for the wine club members. That's it. And same thing with our next vintage of the Atlas Peak Cabernet, for instance. There's only enough for it to go in one club membership, and only to club members. And so it's really enjoyable to have those wines that the quality is so high, but the production level is so low, which is part of what helps it in the quality. That our members, if you're not a member, that's the only way you're getting hands on it.
Well, and that VIP experience and being a member is exclusive and special, and all the perks to being a member at Bell Wine. So obviously getting that high quality bottle, but and private in-home tastings we mentioned. What else?
There's a number of releases that we do throughout the year that will be, for members only. Library releases that are for members only, and I've been kind of it's been fun because I think we talked about this before. Like, I'm an absolute nerd at heart. Give me anything to analyze, and I'm super happy. So just looking back in our library and analyzing different ways to put together things in our library, and different ways to use it, and which is one of my favorite things, like getting into that creative side. But when those come out, those are another thing that's for our members only. Those library releases, and those different, whether it's verticals or horizontals, or whatever direction we decide to go with it. That definitely is a members thing, and I think with our membership getting first crack at every new release, but also getting only crack at library. They're the only ones who can dip into the library. Like there's, I think that's a pretty special thing, especially when, and hopefully they do too.
Yes.
Especially when it comes down to those bottlings that are so small that I mean, we have some that we're barely going to be able to even satisfy the club membership with. When I say barely, I mean if the number of members that we have right now stays exactly what it is, or if the number of members doesn't exceed what is projected, after that release, there will be 4 bottles left. I mean, it's that slim in the margin.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm a wine club member, and I have totally enjoyed it. You do get special bottling, and it seems as though maybe the wine club membership at Bell is not as robust as some, but maybe explaining what is so special about this wine club at Bell.
It's a very robust club, and we're always looking for ways to make it even more robust and ways to make our members feel even more special and more connected. And so like with the private in-home tastings and the doing more frequent library releases, I'm hoping will help with our members knowing how appreciated they are, and also give them more reason to continue enjoying. But the perks of membership, regardless of which winery it is, right? The perks of membership are going to be that you're drinking wine that you love, that speaks to you. And you're either drinking it now or you're building your personal cellar and your personal collection with it. You're getting those birth year bottles, those anniversary year bottles, and things like that, and it's just becoming part of your life. And there's 700 wineries in Napa, so no single winery is going to capture every collector, every connoisseur. Like it's impossible, right? Numerically, it just doesn't work out. But I think that one of the things that I love, not only about our wine club, but even the wine clubs that I belong to, I have a lot. It is that idea of, I know that I'm getting wine that I enjoy, that I'm going to continue to enjoy. I know that I'm getting first crack at receiving it, and that's exactly what I want to give, and what we want to give our membership as well. Is we want our members to rest assured that we appreciate that they enjoy the wines, and so we're going to make sure that they get the wines first before anybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Love Month, February, beautiful weather, to go along with our theme of the podcast, what I love about Bell. What would you say right now you love about Bell?
Yeah, I love our commitment to excellence. I think, just having gotten here in June, right? When you're first settling into a new home, to a new organization, you have to kind of hang out and discover if what you think an organization, what their strength is and what they're about. You have to kind of sit back and wait and discover if you're right or not. And one of the things that I love about Bell is that there is a commitment to excellence. From the ownership all the way across the board. I adore our ownership. I have found them to be so wonderful to work with, so warm, and just when you have done something well, they are not shy about letting you know. And I think that there's a lot of team leaders that kind of miss the mark on that. And I've been on those teams before. So I love how open and inviting and family oriented our owners are. And I love that there's that commitment to excellence, that starts with them. And I refuse to be part of a project that does things in a small way, or that doesn't see something all the way through at the highest level and highest quality. I have a saying that if you shoot for perfection, at the very least you'll get excellence. And so I'm consistently trying to shoot for that perfection when it comes to anything that I do for a living. And I appreciate that is mirrored here. And so I think right now that's what I love about Bell.
Love it.
So if you haven't visited us at Bell yet, give us a call. We'll get you on the schedule and look forward to sharing our wines with you. And if you have already visited us, come on back. We'd love to see you again.
Thank you for joining us for our second podcast. We're really enjoying it. Hope you are too. We're so fortunate to have a wealth of knowledge over here, Hillary Cole, and we look forward to our next episode of What I Love About Bell with Hillary Cole.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers, Hillary. Thank you.
Cheers.